Ashvathi Padmanabhan stands as a dedicated TGT English teacher at Atsimala English School, diligently guiding classes 5 to 10. With an impressive teaching tenure spanning around 7 years across India and the UAE, she has also graced roles such as head of the English department at Radiant School, Sharjah, and English coordinator for classes 5 to 8 at City Private School, Ajman. Armed with a graduate degree in English Language and Literature from Payyanur College, Kannur, and a Bachelor's of Education in English from Pondicherry University, her academic journey is nothing short of remarkable. Her prowess in academia was further showcased when she presented a seminar paper at an international seminar organized by Sri Narayana College of Education during her Bachelor's of Education. In the heart of classrooms, Ashvathi weaves her expertise, inspiring countless young minds to explore the rich realms of English literature. Hearty welcome, Ms. Ashvathi. Please proceed.
Yes, Ashwathi ma'am, please proceed.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Warm greetings from Extra Mile. Extra Mile is an online platform dedicated to empower educators through innovative training programs created by visionary leader Dr. Abdul Salam, founder of Extra Mile Education and Vita. The platform offers both online and offline training sessions with a cluster of highly qualified and experienced resource persons who provide practical insights and effective strategies. The platform also caters specific need with on-demand offline classes and training sessions, ensuring flexibility and relevance. Before I proceed, I would like to take this opportunity to express my deepest gratitude to Dr. Abdul Salam Sir and Extra Mile for entrusting me with such an esteemed opportunity to moderate today's session. I also take this moment to extend a very warm welcome to the enthusiastic educators who have joined us today. As educators, we know assessment plays a crucial role in teaching and learning. Traditional classroom assessments have often focused on testing students' classroom and students recalling the information they have acquired during their classes. However, with the rapidly changing educational landscape and the evolution of 21st century skills, it's time to rethink how we assess our students' learning. The aim of today's session, Assess Smart, Innovation in Classroom Assessment, is exploring evolving nature of assessment in education, shifting from traditional classroom assessment to more dynamic and effective strategies. In today's session, we'll focus on OECD Learning Compass, Diagnostic Assessment, Database Assessment, Inclusive Insight, IEP, and Assessment of SEN, Digital Assessment Tools, and many more. So, before we begin with today's session, there are some points I would like to quickly brief about. Any query during the meeting can be conveyed to the meeting chat box. Ensure an interactive and engaging experience. You are encouraged to ask questions and kindly use your virtual hand raising button to ask questions. Participants will be eligible to receive certificates only after filling out the certificate form and the feedback forms. The link for the same will be shared at the end of the session. We kindly request you all to stay connected with us till the end of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege and honor to welcome Dr. Abdul Salam, an eminent, inspiring leader whose vision and dedication to education have made a remarkable impact on educators and students alike. Dr. Abdul Salam is a distinguished resource person and a master trainer widely respected for his expertise and contributions to the field of education. He also serves as an assessor for the National Assessment Board of Education and Training under the Government of India, a role that underscores his commitment to academic excellence. Dr. Salam Sir is the visionary founder and CEO of Extra Mile Education and Training, as well as the Bharat Transformer Academic Group. I invite Abdul Salam sir to deliver the welcome address and set the tone for the exciting section. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Respected resource person today, Martina Gomez and Ms. Ashwati Padmanabhan and all educators who have joined. Hearty welcome to this particular session. And special thanks and appreciation to those enthusiastic learners who have, who always join before time, especially Pushpavani ma'am, Pushpavani Ayyappan ma'am. She always joins, well on time and waits for the session. And we could see a good number of educators like that, very much interested in learning. So hats off to you for your enthusiasm in learning. And thank you so much for joining everybody for today's session. And we are happy to introduce Ms. Ashwati Padmanabhan to you as our moderator today. And there is no point of introducing Martina Gomez ma'am as she has already, been familiar to you. Anyway, let us listen to today's session, which is very important as the moderator has briefed about the topic and all. It is very necessary to update the innovations happening in every field as in assessment as well. So thank you so much for joining. Let us implement some of these, innovations and tools, assessment tools in the classroom, which these all will help us, help our task easier and classroom scenario much interesting. So thank you so much to everyone. Over to Ashwati. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Dear educators,
Madam, you are not audible.
now am I audible?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Dear educators, it's time to move forward. Introduce the highlight of today's session. Our esteemed resource person, Ms. Martina G. Gomes, who has a remarkable contribution to the field of education through her leadership, dedication, and innovative teaching practices. Madam Martina currently serves as the head of upper primary, head of assessment and social science department mentor at JSS Private School, Dubai. She brings extensive teaching experience, having served at St. James's School and Aditya Academy Senior Secondary School in Kolkata. Her accolades includes being recognized as a Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert for 2024-25, a finalist for GESS 2024, Outstanding Contributions in Education Award, and certifications such as ISO 19011, lead auditor, and train the trainer. She holds a post-graduation in geography from Loreto College, Kolkata, and a bachelor's degree in geography and economics. She has also cleared the Ministry of Education Leadership Test and UGC NET for lectureship, highlighting her academic rigor and leadership capabilities. It is our privilege and honor to have you as the speaker for today's session, ma'am. Together, let us dive deep into the world of smart, explore how these innovations can transform how we assess and support our learners. On behalf of Extra Mile and everyone present here, I extend a warm and heartful welcome to you, ma'am, and request you to take over the session for the evening. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Ashwati. Good evening to all. Thank you, Salam sir, for giving this opportunity for today, and warm welcome to all the educators who have joined today. So without any further ado, we are going to start with today's session. I will just share my screen. Yes, I hope everybody can see my screen. So
Yes,
we are
ma'am.
going to start, yes, we are going to start with today's session. So as you can see over here, our topic for today is innovations, which is assessment 2.0, innovations in classroom assessment. assess smarter and not harder. So that's what we learned today. And before we proceed, I would like everyone to please scan this QR code. And I would like to know, what are your expectations from this CPD? The code number is also given, or you can alternatively scan this QR code too. I will also share the link in case anyone would like to access it that way. Yes, sorry. Okay, so I hope everyone can see this right now. Everyone has received the link, and okay, and let's present and see the responses. Okay, so I got received smarter way of assessment. Yes. And can we please get responses from everyone? I hope you can access this. The code is given over here, 84805619. It is in Mentimeter. Request everyone to please join Mentimeter, or the link is given in the chat. You can access from there. Novel ways to assess, assessment tools. Yes. To be a better assessor. Okay. Competency-based. Digital tools, innovative. Yes. Quick and fair assessment. Maths. Okay. Yes. Innovative. Formal assessment. Yes. All right. So I think I've got to find misconceptions. Yes. Effective, novel ways to assess, assessment tool, effective assessments. Yes, we are going to discuss all of these, and let us discuss right now further about the topic. So going further with it, going to the next one. So the agenda for today, which is divided into 10 parts. So the first one, we are going to discuss about the objectives and introduction of today's training, and then assessment literacy, which all of us require as educators, the OECD Learning Compass, inclusive insights, assessment strategies, digital assessment tools, innovative assessment methods, teacher, self, peer assessment, feedback and goal setting, CBSE guidelines, and conclusion. So now going to the objectives and introduction. I would like someone to read it, please. Sorry. Yes.
Ashwati ma'am can read.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Evolution of assessment methods. Trace the history of assessment from traditional method to modern innovative practices. Assessment 2.0 framework. Familiarize with the principles and practice of assessment 2.0. Tools and techniques. Review a variety of new assessment tools that enhance the evaluation process. Assessment literacy. Build assessment literacy among educators and students. Future trends. Consider potential future trends in classroom assessment and their implications for teaching.
Thank you, Ashwati ma'am. Yes, so these are the major highlights. That is how the assessment methods evolved over time. what is actually assessment 2.0, the various tools and techniques, assessment literacy, and the future trends. These are the major objectives of the lesson of today's training. So now when we see assessment 2.0, so there was an evolution. Initially, we were having mainly focus on the traditional assessment, which is just the pen and paper at the end. So entire lessons were taught, and that's what which was focusing just on attaining marks at the end of the year or the unit where the concepts were taught. Gradually, we progressed to assessment 1.5, and then there was a blend of summative and formative. So both people, the educators, the researchers, they started to understand, yes, it's not just good to know where do they stand at the end, but even in between, how we can modify and change our methods, our strategies. So there was a blend of both formative and summative. And then assessment 2.0, which evolved, and it is a much more holistic journey. There are more continuous feedback and real world relevance, which is there. We are going to learn more about it, how the assessment pattern looks today, and what are the future trends, what kind of trainings do we require, and updates which are essential. Moving forward. So this is a complex graph, but I'm going to draw your attention to, first of all, the heading, which is innovation cycles and innovations in classroom assessments. So what do we see? What are the major highlights? Which wave of innovation cycle are we in right now? Anybody can respond, please. Which wave of innovation cycle are we in right now? I'm sorry, I'm not able to. 1 second, let me just see if anybody. Sixth, yes, correct. Thank you so much. Sixth cycle, that's the correct one. And here we go. Yes. So the key features of the sixth wave is that is artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things, which is there. That's the current key characteristics of the innovation cycle. There are robots, there are drones, clean tech, which are the focuses. So now, why are we discussing currently about innovation cycle and then assessments? So when in all the industries, there are a lot of innovations which have come in, and you can see that even as teachers, many of us are progressing each day. So even definitely when we are modifying our instructional strategies, the way we are teaching, even the way we are assessing needs to change or maybe implement in a better way, in a more innovative style. So moving forward now, assessment literacy, basic things which all educators needs to know. So yes, I would like now educators to please give me your inputs. What does assessment literacy mean to you? And why is it important for educators? What are the key components which every educator must know about assessment literacy? Can you please share your inputs in the chat box? Assessment literacy, what does this concept of assessment literacy mean to all of you? You can use the chat box. I'm again posing the question if it is not visible to you. What does assessment literacy mean to you, and why is it important for educators? Assessment literacy concept, what does it mean to you? What should we as educators know about it? Yes, thank you. Yes, many teachers have come up. Jitin SEPS, yes, which is assessment literacy. You have mentioned about it. Required to design refers to the knowledge, skills, and understanding required to design, implement, and interpret. Yes, individualized learning style of learner. Okay, has to be understood. Learning new tools, needs to evaluate. Sinia Mahin, yes, thank you. Educators have given, many educators. Ms. Nikita said, yes. Multi-models of assessments. Ms. Jyoti, to know about appropriate ways and tools to assess. Yes, so I think even many of you, thank you so much, educators, for actively participating. We go ahead with it and let's see what is there which we should know. That's the basic thing which are all of us, I'm sure, knows about it, which is formative and summative. I'm not going to go in detail of this because I think all of us know about it. That is assessment for learning, the formative. When are we doing it? Throughout the course. And then summative, this is assessment of learning, where we assess the student's performance, which is done usually at the end of the instructional period. So I'm sure all of you know about this. So just the basic of it, let's go more about it now. Characteristics of a good test. Can somebody read the key characteristics of this, please? Anyone? Ashwati ma'am or anyone? Any one of the educators too?
Yes, ma'am. Characteristics of a good test: reliability, validity, objectivity, appropriateness of time, practicability, comparability, absence of ambiguity, and comprehensiveness.
Thank you. Yes. So reliability of a test, that means these characteristics, reliability, validity, objectivity, these are whenever we are making a test for the students, we discourse the questions, it should be dependable. It should be consistent. So these are the basic things which all of us should know. And I think we know it. When we set the question paper or when we check the results, we are in some way or the other ensuring that there is less of ambiguity. It's not too worthy. Again, how much time does each question require? Whether I'm having a balance of objective and comprehensive questions, which is there. So these questions, we do consider these characteristics, which we do consider while forming it. Next one, which is diagnostic assessments. Again, diagnostic assessment. What do you mean by this term, diagnostic? We often hear it, I think, rather than, in education. Where else do we get to hear this term diagnostic? Can somebody use the chat box to please write your opinion? Where do we hear this word diagnostic other than over here, where you just heard about in assessments? In health center? Yes, in health centers and hospitals, medical center. So that means something which is doing a kind of treatment, okay, where we find out, we do a screening, and then post the screening, we are going for treatment. So there is a screening procedure where we are finding out what is the problem. So similarly, the assessments should be diagnostic in nature. That is, assessing the problem of the learner, assessing where do they require help. It is unlike in the previous time where the traditional assessment system, that is assessment 1.0 or 1.0, where you just say, okay, you got C grade, you got B grade, and so on. But it's not just the judgment. So you can see over here, diagnostic assessment, it assists the teachers to know where the child is, how to improve the child. Do I need to add on some kind of resources? And then ultimately, the learning outcomes are going to be much better. So that is what diagnostic assessment refers to. Now, this curve, this is a bell curve. I'm just going to make it a layer. If everyone can see right now. So this is a typical grade bell curve. Usually all the students, in generally we have around, you can see 26% of the students, yeah, which is yes, 21% of the students, and 16% and 16% of the students, which is excellent performers, and then poor performers, which is there, and majority of them which is in the central section of the bell curve, that is from grade B to grade D, and only a few which is in the B grade zone and in the A grade zone and the D grade and the F grade. However, it differs sometimes based on, in a school usually we ensure that a class is not having too many bright, not like a grade is having all bright students and then a B grade is having all all low achievers, but we usually balanced bell curve, which is there. But irrespective of whatever the scenario is, what kind of students you are getting, we can definitely plot them in this kind of bell curve and understand that how much percentage of difficult question do I need to ask, or how much percentage of average or easy, hots or lots. What is my strategy of framing the question paper? So this bell curve is very crucial and important in understanding the class students. Sometimes we also have in the classroom a data wall, a data story, and where they are. Sometimes it is lesson to lesson where it differs. Maybe they might be an average student on a whole, but in particular topics, they might be quite brilliant. They might understand that quite well. So it also differs from topic to topic. But knowing the classroom data is very crucial. Going to the next one, which is the OECD Learning Compass. Now, OECD Learning Compass, OECD, which is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. And if you can see over here, how does our current classroom assessment system align with the 4 dimensions outlined in the OECD Learning Compass? Now, what are the 4 dimensions? If you can see, there is a star kind of thing, and one dimension is knowledge, the other dimension is values, skills, attitudes. So this learning compass is actually a guideline for educators how to structure their teaching style, how to structure the assessments, and we are going to know more about it. You can see many aspects which are mentioned over here. You can definitely research more about the OECD compass, but I'm going to just discuss some of the highlights of it, which we as educators, whichever part of the world we are in, we must know about it. So going further, you can see that innovative assessments, which is coming from the OECD Learning Compass 2030. There are 6 parts of it. Can Ashwati ma'am please read, or any educator who can volunteer, please?
Yes, ma'am. Well-being in assessments. Second one, holistic assessment. Third, measure students' competencies. Fourth, empowering students' agency and role of cognizency. 5, role of technology. 6, emotional and social skills. 7, importance of students' feedback. And 6, measuring competency, directly testing and surveys.
Thank you so much. Yes. So still so long when we are in assessment 1.0 or 1.5, or even when we saw the innovative cycles or the innovation cycles, probably we were not looking so much into well-being. But right now, well-being is very important. And even in assessment, that aspect should be included. Even CBSE suggests us about holistic assessment, similar to the OECD Compass, which we are going to learn more about it after some time. Then measure students' competencies. It's not just the marks, it's not just the score they get in a particular topic, but how do we measure the competencies? Then there is something which is called as agency and co-agency in OECD Compass. So students are the agency, how we are empowering them to involve in self-assessments. And then there is something called as role of co-agency, which is including the peers, the family, the teachers, the wider community. So all of it, how are we empowering them to ensure that they are also playing a key role in the students' assessment in their learning journey? Role of technology, cell or emotional and social skills, which is there. Importance of students' feedback, that is very important. And then the competencies, which we can measure through different forms. Now, certain inclusive insights. Two, where we have just covered right now about the assessment literacy, basic things which all of us must know. Right now, we are going to see more about inclusion, the concept of inclusivity. So now if we see, now, there is a shift, whether we see on a whole worldwide level or whether we see even in Indian schools, there is a total shift in the purpose of classroom assessments. We don't want to show how well a teacher is educated. Maybe I might have PhD, I might have a lots of certification, but I don't want to show it to my students. I want to help my student. So that should be the motto of every teacher. Not help in terms of I give out the answers. That's not helping. But my purpose of assessment is knowing where they are and how to modify my strategy so that they can progress further. And that is no student is left behind. Now, if we see, we have now we are talking about neurodivergent learners, a lot of learners with different kind of abilities, learning difficulties. Some of them are gifted, some of them are having struggling with the concept, special education needs students, which are there. So, what should be the kind of modification which we should adopt for them? For example, these are just some suggested types. Each learner is different, their abilities are different, and an expert the inclusion team are the best to suggest what is required and what type of assessment is required by that learner. But definitely, some of these, which we are going to discuss right now, is autism spectrum disorder. What can we have? We can use alternative communication methods. There can be a lot of visual support for them. For attention deficit hyperactive disorder kids, we should break the assessment into smaller, manageable sections, maybe provide some kind of fidget tools, sensory breaks. They need that kind of attention for them. Now, dyscalculia, there are many more dyslexia we do have. So let's see for dyscalculia, the people who struggle with math, provide manipulatives maybe, give extended time. Sometimes certain exams do permit calculators too. So it depends whether it is permitted by the board or the scribe. So accordingly, these kind of strategies which we can provide for dyscalculia students. Dyslexia, we can use some form of colored overlays to reduce stress. So, therefore, again, let us remind ourselves of the motive of assessment, which we should conduct is that no student is left behind. And therefore, we must modify the kind of assessment which we are using. Again, so IEP and assessment of differently abled learners. So, what is IEP? Anybody is aware about IEP? Can you please use the chat box? IEP. What do we think IEP is about? You can use the chat box. Individual education plan. Yes, thank you so much. It is the individual education plan which we must have in schools for the differently abled learners, where probably they are not able to go with the entire set of students where we saw the bell curve. Maybe they are not in the majority section of it, and we have to have a special plan for that. And then it should include the strategies, the assessments also for these kind of learners. The inclusion team of your school can definitely support it in the kind of format, but the basic things which we must include in an individual education plan is chunking, that is section out which are the topics which you're going to teach, what is the objective for the child, and then measure the progress in frequent interval, whether the child has made a 5% improvement or a 10% improvement, and keep on monitoring from time to time to see, yes, the child is progressing in a different way. Now, we are coming to the assessment strategies, which we are going to discuss right now. Definitely, we use multiple assessment strategies, and I'm just going to discuss some of it. All of us, if you can have any inputs, you can definitely use the chat box to add more. So, KWHLAQ, many of us, we already use it. If not, you can learn about it more. So K, which we can do at the start of the lesson, and then LAQ can probably be at the end of the lesson. Sometimes we just use a KWH chart too. So that is K, you can see what do I already know. So sometimes I feel that I'm going to teach a lesson, and it can be any lesson, maybe a math or a science lesson or an SST lesson. And I'm just teaching over again about probably maybe India and certain aspects about it. But some of the students, they already know about it. So then you should do it prior to a lesson, that what do they already know? And then you say, oh my God, they don't know much about it. They know very little information. Then, okay, I can modify my strategy accordingly. This is an assessment tool which is used at the start. And then again at the end towards, you can see, okay, fine, I've taught the lesson. Let me see. At the beginning of the lesson, you did not know these kind of things. And at the end of the lesson, let's see, learned. What have I learned? Now, this is incorporating students' personal information. They can write, they will have a practice of writing feedback and writing where do they stand. And accordingly, I can take the inputs and modify the strategies which I used in my class. So it's a very effective assessment strategy, which which most of us know, but sometimes we don't implement it. So you can implement one of it. Proceeding further to the next type, again, exit ticket. As the name suggests, it is done at the end of the lesson. So you can have simply like three things which I learned today. Sometimes we just go on reading a text, and then students probably they don't learn anything at the end of the lesson. So at least when you have this kind of strategy, which is exit ticket, and then you can just ask the student at least three things which I learned today. Sometimes when you're teaching maybe any age group, and then you want to say that, okay, fine, in today's 40 minutes lesson, at least small things which you will remember, maybe some vocabulary, maybe some major concept, a definition, or an example which you learned today, and you can take it back home saying that, yes, in this 40 minutes, it was useful. But I still want to learn more, two things. So two things which I want to learn more at the end of this lesson. So you can ask them to fill it and write their viewpoint. And then you can say that one question I have. Still any more question which you have about today's lesson and you want to ask, so that too, maybe you can ask them to write it instead of giving a printout. They can just write it in the notebook, or maybe give it a post-it, and they can fill in there the exit ticket. Then a traffic signal, which is there. In the traffic signal, again, you can give them some kind of maybe colored papers, which is there. A colored paper, and then maybe you can give them some red paper, yellow, and a green paper. Please ignore this because of the downloading. There is a kind of editing error. Please ignore that. It is traffic signal, which is there, the strategy. And you can have some colored papers, which is red, yellow, and green. And then if you see that, okay, there are 7 students who is telling that, okay, I struggled with this problem. And you know, okay, these are my students. But then I have maybe around 20 students who was okay, or who have got it very well. So I have to focus now. Maybe I can have a pull-out session with these 7 students. So it's a very quick strategy. You can just have it all the time. Use the colored papers in your classroom. Again, the next strategy, which is boarding card and landing card. It's quite fun when students get to see, these kind of strategies which is used in the class, rather than just simply I will go to the class and keep on writing on the board, or where I just tell, okay, come out, give me a test paper and then write it. But then maybe I would like to know at the end of the lesson, where are you? What I found out today. Similar to the KWH, LAQ, but a little kind of different mode, which you can use sometimes for a different lesson. Now, again, a learning pit. It is also similar, where you know at the start, and then how the student is progressing, there is collaboration, and what do they come to know. So again, another method is called the learning pit, which we can use again. 3-2-1 strategy. Yes, so if this one also a very quick strategy, you don't need to have them to print out. You just teach a concept, student, and you can tell them, okay, just show me fist to five, and you can teach them the numbers. And if you see, okay, that some of my students are showing one and two, that means they are not progressing the way I am teaching them. Probably I need to slow down a bit. Probably I need to reteach this concept again. It's a self check in which the way you have to teach them the concept. And then probably they have four or five, then you say, okay, fine, it's good to go. So in between, you can use these kind of strategies while teaching them. Again, similar to it, connect, extend, challenge. Again, how do they connect with their previous knowledge? What strategies are you going to ensure that from the previous knowledge, you are extending it to a wider knowledge, to the next level of learning? And then what challenges at the end you're providing, the testing. So again, it is another form of strategy which we can use. There are multiple number of strategies. You can just Google out and find definitely, but let us implement, let us start and see not just the traditional kind of assessment, but let us be more, I will say, with a wider approach in which we don't want our students to be left behind. We don't want to show our kind of qualifications or the kind of knowledge which we have, but to help our students. So let's try this out from our next lesson. Now, going ahead, the peel the fruit. Again, it's quite interesting. You can implement this strategy probably in maybe an English lesson or a science lesson, where you are saying, okay, let's understand, this is the concept, the story. This is the story, which is it. So maybe you show a picture and then you say that, what do you see? What do you observe or notice? And then you suddenly pose certain questions, puzzles, and you read it out. What is the different viewpoint from the author? Maybe you have some any other kind of viewpoint. Then what is the central message of this poem or the story? Even we can have it that way. Then building explanations. What is this really about? Some kind of connections can be made in the real life. So we can use this kind of interesting strategy. And if we just have this kind of picture and say that, okay, today we are going to have a different strategy. We are going to peel the fruit. You can even have a fruit demonstrated and then accordingly tell them in this story, what is the outside? How does the inside look like? What is the central theme? So you can have it in that way too. And in that, it will draw curiosity in the students. They are going to learn it better, and you can assess them also better through different perspectives too. So we are done with now the some of the assessment strategies, and we are going to go in some of the digital assessment tools. As we saw in OECD Compass 2030, that technology is very crucial, and many of us have already progressed in knowing most of the assessment tools. Today, we are going to learn more about it. So, forms, I think most of us are very familiar with these forms. You can use probably a Google form, you can use a Microsoft Forms, which is there. You can have a question, ensure you make an asterisk mark so that the student don't miss out the kind of questions which you're giving. And again, ensure that if it is an MCQ, you're giving a relevant number of question options which is there, not just two option, and then it's very easy for them to select, or at least the four kind of options, and then you see, okay, how it is. And then if you make it an open end, then again, you can also view the results and it will show a graphical representation. Like you can see over here, I can see 66% of the students answered that pollution and consumption will decrease. So you can have it in this kind of way, assessment tools. Mentimeter, as I use today. So even there are many other forms. I use the word cloud. You can definitely have many other forms. This is like a drawing of the kind of ratings. So you can have this kind of, you can use different questions based on the topic, the lesson, and understand what is their opinion. There are even bar graphs or maybe options based Likert scale, which is there. So many other forms, which is also available in Mentimeter. Going forward with the next one, Nearpod. Nearpod, you can deliver the lessons. There are interactive media, there are assessments. These are live presentations. And in the live presentations, you can also add a number of quiz levels, testing, and in no time, you're going to get the response where the students are. So if you're teaching them a topic, maybe a math topic, and you want them to solve, and then they solved it and they wrote the answer, you got it. Okay, fine. Then 80% of my students understood this, 20% of them didn't understand, and we can re-explain. I can take them, have it separately, or if time permits, maybe in the class itself. So it's a very effective tool, and you get real-time feedback and post-session reports. And that reports you can even share with the parents, you can share with the students, they can file it, and based on the inputs, they can even have a correction or revision done on the results. Even Canva is very interesting. Even today's presentation, I use some of the aspects from Canva. It's not just for presentations. There is also having a kind of assessments too, which you can have a lot of assessment, which you can add in and use it effectively, and give pollings too. You have the whiteboards where you can also get students inputs, they can write down, and you know the entire class's understanding of a kind of topic which is there. So it's also a very effective tool. Kahoot is also very prominent digital tool, which many of the educators, they use it. Like you can see there, you can pose a question: which among the following banks issues currency notes on behalf of the central government of India? And you can add 4 options and then immediately get. These are like live presentations. You can teach a concept and along with it add certain quiz, certain questions, and you in no time you will get the responses too. So again, a very popular tool. Quizy, yes, Quizy also, you can see this is one of the reports which I got from my students. So you can also have it like questions. You give them certain questions and end of it, and it's time based. So that is like, it looks totally like a game. So you can give it to them. It is game based. They are going to enjoy it. And end of the lesson, you can see, okay, 3 errors, 2 errors, 1 error. And that's how. And immediately you can submit the report to the parents, to them. They will also have an access. You can file it and then review from time to time. Where were they progressing? So it's again a very effective tool. Going forward to the next one, clickers. Now, the best part about clickers, till now, we were seeing about the other digital tools where you require internet connection for every learner. But for clickers, it's enough if just the teacher has the connection. The students don't need devices. They don't need tablets, laptops in their classes. You can just print, download the codes with one as option A, option B, option C, option D. And the teacher is having the questions, and you tell them this is the question and these are the 4 options. Which one do you think? You just use your phone to scan it around, get the responses, and in no time, just the teacher's alone device is enough in the classroom to assess the students. So it's very useful if you are teaching where all the students are not bringing devices on a regular basis, then definitely it's a very useful tool. Class Dojo, again, it's very motivating. You can see this is one of my students, how I was giving them that, okay, fine, you, for helping others, you help somebody on a task, participating, so you can give them, motivational certificates, motivational icons, which is there, and they get points. They submit their assignments, you rate them, and you give them certain these points. And probably at the end of it, you see, okay, you collected so many of your points. And it's a very effective feedback online mechanism, which we can effectively use in the lessons. So you can divide whichever tools you want to use for certain, maybe on a regular basis, you're not able to use because of certain kind of maybe low internet connectivity, or all of them are not having it. But if it's a project, like a CBSE project, or maybe a summer assignments, and then you tell them to submit it. And there you're reviewing, okay, fine, very good work, and I want to rate you. So you can have it for certain kind of assignments too. Going to the next one. So we have discussed right now about some of the digital assessment tools. We are going to progress now more about the innovative assessment methods. So let's see over here, which is project-based learning. So project-based learning, certain guidelines. Can I now please have, I think I was reading from quite a long time. Can we have some educator, somebody new who didn't speak today, and some educator can read out, please?
They have to raise
Anyone?
their hands, madam, so that we can unmute them.
Yes,
Yes, please.
educators, you can just raise your virtual hand raise so that we can unmute you.
Yes, please. Can somebody please? Yes, thank you so much, Ritu ma'am. You can read.
Yes, it is
Please read.
clear rubrics, teacher-led check-in, checklist for students, class discussion, self-reflection, teacher, peer, and self-assessment.
Thank you so much for volunteering, Ritu ma'am. I would
Thank
like
you,
to see
ma'am.
more participants and educators to volunteer. Yes, so now we are seeing is project-based learning. So any topic which we give them, maybe a science project is there, and I ask them to make a kind of maybe observation, nature observation, and make a project about it, or maybe an SST or a math or an English project. I want to monitor their learning. So how should you assess? Now, before I say that, okay, your project marks, what usually we would do earlier, we would say that your project is out of 20 marks, and okay, everybody knows 20 marks project. This is my topic, and I have to make it. And at the end of the lesson, the students say, I got only 8, I got only 9. Why is it so? Where did I lag? And we would never give any kind of comments or feedback. Where are they missing? Or maybe just one or two verbal inputs. But what if they know from before, from the start, that if they have a certain kind of criterias, a rubric or a guideline, that these are the points. There has to be clarity. This is the word, this is the number of page limit which you have to have, maybe 10 pages minimum, and maximum maybe 16 pages. Then it should be handwritten, not typed, or typed, not handwritten, whichever is serving the purpose. Vocabulary, grammar. So if we clearly outline the rubrics, the students will know that, okay, this is for vocabulary, I'm going to get a score of 1. For ensuring that there is some level of creativity, or I'm using graphs and pictorial depiction, I'm going to get 3 points. So if they know from the start that these are the checklist, these are the rubrics, you're having at the start a discussion, understanding, then the scoring, the assessment actually makes sense. You can also have a form of self-reflection, where sometimes probably somebody helped them do or something, and in that progress they learned, yes, these aspects I learned. This is my self-reflection. I learned few things. And then maybe apart from teacher assessment, they can have peer assessment, self-assessment, maybe a parent's feedback too. So that makes a more holistic approach for project-based learning. So this is one of the way in which we can assess them. Going to the next one, where we are going to have a brainstorming question, and I want everyone to please participate. What criteria should be used to assess the quality and effectiveness of a student's e-portfolio? Now, we learned about project-based learnings assessment. Now, what about e-portfolio? First of all, let me know what is an e-portfolio, what should be included in it, and how can we assess it? so that we understand the student's entire progress. So please use the chat box to type in. I'm keeping it open for some time too, so that you can understand the question. Again, the question is, what criteria should be used to assess the quality and effectiveness of a student's e-portfolio? What is an e-portfolio and how should we assess it? Please use the chat box. Okay, digital collection of students' work. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Model making progress. Yes, and how should we assess it? Can we get more responses? Yes, students' projects, their collection of work. Yes. Thank you so much. Pen, paper, marks. Yes, we can also include, apart from students' projects, their progress reports, their pen and paper marks, certificates. Yes, wonderful. Assignments. Yes. Collaborative approaches. Yes, we can also see how much collaboration they had with their peers, with the wider community, and then have assessment. Now, how are we going to assess it? Coordination, yes. Problem solving, it helps them in these. Can I get more inputs about how can we assess? You get the student's portfolio, e-portfolio. Now you have to give them a score. You have probably 5 marks. 5 marks for students' e-portfolio. Yes, thank you so much. Assess using rubric with points. And we can have a holistic approach. Thank you, Sangeeta ma'am, so much. Have a holistic approach, and where you involve all the stakeholders in assessing it, have a clear guideline how you're going to give them the score. Thank you for your active participation, educators. Going to the next part. So this is our e-portfolio, students' e-portfolio. What should it include? As all of you stated correctly, that yes, it should measure the progress from the start. What was the quality of the work when it was probably in the month of April, May? Okay, they were writing 2-3 sentences when I was giving them a topic of maybe 3-mark question, and then later their writing style increased. I can see a clear progress. So in students' portfolio assessment, which is very crucial. Metacognition, that is being aware of one's own thinking. They are able to reflect back that this is what I know, where I have progressed, I can improve here. There is an increased level of autonomy when we are giving them students' portfolio. Reflection section, which is not just assessing knowledge, but even skills. And in totality, it is a form of holistic assessment. So we have discussed about project-based learning assessments and portfolio assessments. Now the next one, which is performance-based assessment. Sometimes we would, in the traditional times, we were having, or probably it was limited. But right now, we are focusing more and more about performance in activities, performance in different kinds of maybe competency-based. For example, in an English lesson, I can have a debate in the class and judge them, not just for the sake of fun, but even see, okay, which student have progressed, which is able to put forward valid points. Literature circle rows we can have in an English lesson. For mathematics, we can have certain real life problems. For science, lab experiments and much more, observations and so on. History, you can have some kind of role play and they understand, okay, this is how the parliament structure is. They come to know about it in civics or in a kind of era. What were the main characters who played a key role? So again, they learn more about it. In geography, maybe you can have a field work, you can have some map or cartographic skills where you're assessing them. So again, performance-based assessment, it helps the child. It reduces the fear factor and they are able to perform better, and accordingly, even assessment gives a more holistic approach. So you can see benefits, real life skills, holistic evaluation, realistic assessment criteria. Going to the next one, Gamification, turning assessment into games. I think most students will love it. And I already discussed where Quizy was one form of it, but you can have other. If digital tools are not available, use other form on-site tools also. Turn the lesson into a fun form where they are enjoying and at the same time we are assessing. So, what is the benefit of it? Increased performance, reduced stress, and high level of motivation. Ultimately, as educators, what should be our goal? To help the students succeed, to help them be in some better place than what they were before. Now, there is something, a small kind of case study. Actually, this is a person called John Spencer, and he has done about a research on how AI and smart classrooms can actually help. So all of us know that at the start we learned about the sixth wave of innovation cycle, where it was the time of artificial intelligence and information of things, Internet of Things. So everything which is available right now in the form of smart classrooms. And this is actually helping the educators. I know some of us are having a kind of probably not a mixed a dilemma of situation or a mixed kind of understanding whether we should use AI or whether we should not use. But some of the aspects of it in which AI is helpful is definitely where easily there is assessment in no time done, and we can use that effectively that time in probably some pull-out session in explaining to them, spending effective time in improvement. You can also get faster improvement when we use AI. Increased differentiation, which is so much essential. We don't have a one fit made lesson for everyone, but we have a tailor fit for different kind of learners, different levels of learners, and this AI actually helps us in do so, empowering students to own the assessment process, and also helps us in knowing the predictive analysis, how far, what will be their performance in the next one, what is the target which I must keep for them, and then accordingly see whether they met the target or no. So this is very essential form in which AI plays a key role in assessment. So we have covered another aspect of it also. Going forward with the next one, which is part 8, teacher, self, peer assessment, feedback, and goal setting. So you can see over here, uh, other than you can see over here teacher assessment, peer assessment, student assessment, and what is it leading to? It's leading to more of autonomy, self-reflection, and in turn they are becoming analytical learners. So therefore, do not just have at the end one tick mark and 8 out of 10. Not that. We also require feedback from our end. We require feedback, self-feedback, how did they do, and a peer feedback too. So this helps them in the long run. Now again, let's see. So I discussed about let's not have a kind of 8 out of 10 score, but a feedback, a written feedback. So how can we improve written feedback? I would like, again, educators to please use the way you were actively participating till now. I want you to please participate and write how can we improve written feedback. Some of us do not like and we just write good or very good to a student. How can we improve it? Can you please use the chat box? How can we improve written feedback? Written feedback, giving feed forward. Okay. When we are writing a feedback to a student in any work, we can give about the positive. Thank you so much. Yes, you can write what is positive. You tell you like a piece of maybe an essay. What did you like about it? Not just good. Okay, as a student, I'm happy I got very good. But what is very good? Please give me a feedback that this aspect of it is very good. The introduction which you gave is very good. So yes, that is a very good aspect. By creative remarks, balance positive and constructive comments. That's wonderful. Yes, you have to have constructive comments, which is helpful to the educators. Next step. Thank you so much. Wonderful comments I'm getting. That is, what is the next step? I know I have done very good, but what should be the next step? What should I add in there more? So that is again a crucial element of it. What needs to be improved? Thank you so much, all the educators mentioning the name. We should, yes, again, mentioning their name, okay, and knowing that, yes, this was wonderful about you is very important and helps them. They are motivated by it. Thank you so much, educators. Proceeding further with it. So now we see something which we call it as tag feedback. So most of you already told that yes, something you liked. You tell them, yes, I like this aspect of your piece of work. And then maybe you ask them a question that what if you can add in maybe some details about this character? So you ask them a thoughtful question and then you give a positive suggestion too, and maybe for this. So you can have a more detailed structured feedback rather than just giving them 8 out of 10 and stating good or fair, and you give them a feedback. So this is how a written feedback should look like. So you can definitely improve written feedback. Can I please get any educator to raise the hand and read this, please? Anyone, please raise your virtual hand and you can read it. How to improve written feedback. Thank you, Nikita said, ma'am. Yes, please read.
Quotes instead of comments, peer and self-assessment, parents' feedback, marking rate, little and often, constructive feedback, next steps.
Thank you so much for volunteering. Yes, these are some of the guidelines for improving written feedback where you can have codes. I remember in my school days where we were getting in the report card also. So similarly, in the notebooks, in the marking scheme, you can have codes like maybe A stands for this, B stands for this, or SP, and then grammar error. And then you use certain kind of code numbers or alphabets and then say that, okay, then they find out, okay, this is missing for me. How many alphabets or number did I gather? These are the areas which I need to improve. And then I already discussed about peer and self-assessment, parents assessment too, some parents feedback too. Parents sometimes the kind of input they give, it helps us look from a different perspective. They know the child and they want to see that, okay, can you help my child in this aspect of mathematics? She can probably understand very well the calculations and all, but she's not able to read long text and interpret and understand. So can you help in this aspect? So then you understand a different perspective from the parent too. And then marking rota. Have a kind of marking rota that every time you don't just keep it at the end because then it will just go in a tick and a flick, but then have it on a kind of marking rota where we give the details of it and you can have often marking and you're able to write the feedback, a constructive feedback, which all of you told, and next step. Going forward, you can see you can have goal settings in your classrooms. You can have the students set their goals, where they want to be. You can find many of it in Google and many more examples which you can use in your classroom. And you can use it and see where do they stand, what is the goal, have they met it, and they can set their targets. Now we are going to come to CBSE guidelines for the assessments. So I'm sure many of us know about it. If not, please know about School Quality Assessment and Assurance Framework, which is SQAA, the very first domain of it, which is curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment. You can see there are 7 domains. The first domain is discussing about assessment, which is specifically the subdomain of 1.6, students' performance assessment of learning outcomes and feedback and learning enhancement program. I will just draw your attention to some of the key red words which I have highlighted. That is multiple modes of assessment. It is suggesting, adopts varied assessment tools and techniques. Assessment of skills, competencies is done. And then definitely, which I haven't marked, but all of us know, holistic progress card. So every school, every teacher adopt this kind of method, modes, and tools, which we already discussed till now. Going forward, even holistic progress card, I'm sure many of our schools, we have already started. So there is the holistic progress card for foundational stage, for grade 1 and 2, and further details, more updates we are getting. You can always definitely follow the latest updates. And most of the schools, it is suggesting that we don't assess, and even the report card is not just the final grade, but it is having a holistic view of the child's development, including their portfolio, including the feedback from all the stakeholders, their skills which they have developed, their involvement in the community, and all major aspects of the learning in a particular age group or in a grade. So again, CBSE also suggests of holistic assessments. Going forward now, I'm sure that we have just come to the end almost of today's learning, where we discussed about the tools, the strategies, the basic assessment literacy, which all of us must have, the bell curve, which we discussed about, the key characteristics of a test, the tools and techniques and CBSE guidelines. So let's now come to the conclusion of it. Now, let's see over here a very important concept, which is what measures can we take to promote academic integrity in assessments, okay, which is very important, whether be it pen and paper assessments or whether be it a small kind of assessment, a regular classroom, and how can we address issues of cheating or plagiarism ethically. So we are talking about academic integrity, both what measures we have to adopt as educators to prevent any form of cheating, any form of copying from the students' end and even from our end to remove any form of biasness. So please, educators, again for the last time, all of you were active participants. Please do use the chat box and write, how do we promote? How do we prevent cheating? How do we prevent plagiarism from the students' end? And as educators, how can we improve the academic integrity as a whole? Please do use the chat box. I'm looking forward to some moral science. Yes, definitely moral science. But what if there is a test and then you want to ensure that everybody do not enter into any form of plagiarism in a text? You ask them to write an essay and they copied it entirely from Google. And how do we have? Okay, yes, consequences to be set. Thank you so much. Anything more? Can we have more participants, please? Anything more? What actions should we have? What should be in ourselves also? Probably, yes, frame questions. Thank you so much. In the questioning style should also be so that cheating is not possible. Maybe a thinking is not a direct questioning, but where you have to use your own judgment, analytical skills to write the input. Creativity should be up. Thank you so much. Yes, and as educators, you can also have a plagiarism tool where you can detection tool and see that, okay, it is copied and it's not authentic piece. So that also you can use. And even as educators, we have to maintain the highest ethical standards. Going with it, last part of it, let's see some of the ethical considerations in classroom assessment. We as educators, we also have to be fair. When we assess, let's not see the name. Okay, this is a good student, let me give them more marks. This is a average student or a poor performer, let's give very low score. So let's not see the name, let's just correct. Let us be fair in what they wrote. It should be very transparent that this is where you are and how you can improve. So even as educators, we have to have some academic integrity, confidentiality. Let's not discuss with each and every teacher or with the student, give out the score of the student and say that this is where you are. Okay, you are not good, you have not done well. So keep that kind of confidential information. Let's not include bias in our correction, in assessments. Inclusivity, again, have a differentiated assessment system and which is leading to academic integrity. So these are some of the ethical considerations which all of us must use it. And that's the end. Thank you so much, all the educators, for actively participating today. Thank you, everybody, for all your active input. And thank you, sir and Ashwati ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for this enlightening and inspiring session. And we are going out with a lot of takeaways. And right now, sitting here, I can ensure that all the educators who are here have got a lot of techniques and tools so that they can start practicing in their classrooms. Now, if any educators or any participants, if you have any queries, you can please raise your virtual hand and clear it with the ma'am.
Also, they can share their expertise if they have anything to be added as they are
Yes,
using.
please. Anybody would like to share anything? Maybe a feedback, or you would like to add something, suggestion. It can be positive, it can be next steps also, the way we discussed.
Yeah, someone can give feedback about this session as well. They can raise their hands.
Yes, please. I can see some of you have
Yes,
raised.
I'm Mani Mekli.
Yes,
Arvin Public School, Noida. Ma'am, we can use exit tickets. Of course, you discussed it in one of your previous workshops, I think.
Yes.
Of course, there have been so many discussions about it. We should not give them ordinary question answers in exit tickets. It should be something that is based on their understanding. The exit ticket should be prepared in such a way that they should come up with their own views. Maybe one question at the end. It shouldn't contain the whole worksheet. This is what it works very well, and we used to have this as a part of our assessment in one of the institutions I used to work with.
Yes.
And it works so well, and all of us can definitely use exit tickets after the lesson is completed.
Yes, wonderful. And I think that, yes, the way ma'am just now told that we can personalize and just don't include everything. You can be maybe certain, you can channelize it the way you want the responses to be, and effectively without any kind of printout or anything, you can definitely use it effectively and for every lessons probably. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your input. Anybody else?
Yeah, thank you, Manimekala ma'am. Martina ma'am, Manimekala ma'am as well is a very passionate educator. She, frequently, as much as possible, she attends our training programs. So thank you, ma'am. And anybody else, they can raise their hands. Some comments are there in the group, chat.
Yes, I can see. Thank you so much, Priyanka ma'am. I think you have just also mentioned giving correct appreciation is important, importance of trying and working hard. Thank you so much. Yes, getting depressed due to the results. So these factors definitely we as educators have to consider. That is the well-being in the assessments, which OECD Compass also focuses on. Thank you so much for giving your input.
Yes, Shruti ma'am, let us wind up.
Yes, sir. As we conclude today's enriching and enlightening session, it is my honor and privilege to deliver the vote of thanks. First and foremost, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to our esteemed resource person, Ms. Martinia Gomes, for delivering such an insightful and thought-provoking session on innovations in classroom assessment. Your passion and practical insights have enlightened us and provided valuable takeaways for everyone. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your knowledge with us. I, Ashwati Padmanabhan, along with Extra Mile Education and Training, would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Abdul Salam, sir, for your unwavering support and guidance. Thank you, sir, for giving me such an opportunity. Thank you so much. We would also like to express our heartfelt gratitude to all the participants who joined us today. Thank you for your time, enthusiasm, and active engagement throughout the session. Your presence and interaction made this training a meaningful experience. Thank you once again, everyone. Sir, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thanks to both of you for the nice job we have done. And yes, we have learned a lot today. Thank you, Martina ma'am. That was a very good learning, and a lot of new things were there. Definitely, this 2030 assessment, cycle. Definitely, everybody has to update ourselves and use the artificial intelligence and all. I think most of the schools are using software and all for assessment. But assessments will be easy if teachers on a daily basis in their classroom they can use such tools in as mentioned by Martina ma'am. Thank you so much, all the educators for your time and your enthusiasm for learning. Please implement some of these strategies and tools in the classroom, and let us be the torch bearers of innovations. So in every field, innovations take place. So in education field as well, especially in assessment, as we have seen, let us make a try, and let us benefit from whatever is available as the education tool. So thank you so much once again to everybody. Martina ma'am, thanks a lot for this
Thank you, sir.
nice session, and equally thankful to Ashwadeep ma'am. Thank you for your moderation, and have a good night, everybody. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
Thank
you,
you
sir.
so much.
thank you.